So in 2.8, we're going to talk about factoring polynomials by grouping and factoring polynomials completely. So the new part is factoring by grouping. This is when we're going to factor a polynomial with 4 terms. So it's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. And we're going to do this by pulling out GCFs. So let's do an example. For part A, we have x cubed plus 3x squared plus 2x plus 6. So the first thing we're going to do is group these into pairs. So we're going to have our first two together and our last two together. Now if we just look at our first pair, x cubed plus 3x squared, what do those have in common? What is our GCF? Well, they both have x squared. And if we pull out x squared, what would we be left with? Well, remember, pulling out a GCF means we're dividing. So x cubed divided by x squared is going to be x. Then 3x squared divided by x squared will be 3. So we'll be left with x plus 3. So now let's look at our second term. We have 2x plus 6. So what is the GCF between 2x and 6? Well, that's going to be 2. So we're going to pull that one out front. And then what's left? Well, again, we're dividing by 2. So 2x divided by 2 is x, plus 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, so now we have 2 terms, right? We started with 4, but now we have 2. We have x squared times x plus 3, and we have 2 times x plus 3. So what do these 2 terms have in common? Well, they both have the x plus 3, right? So that means what we could do is divide each term by x plus 3 and pull that out front as our GCF. So if we pull x plus 3 out, what would be left? Well, these x plus 3's would cancel, so we'd have x squared. And then these x plus 3's would cancel, so plus 2. And that would be your factored form. So we have x plus 3 times x squared plus 2. So you group them in pairs, pull out GCFs, and then pull out the term they have in common. So in this case, that was our x plus 3. And then you're left with factored form. Let's try another example. So for B, we have x squared plus y plus x plus xy. So with this problem, if we look at it right now, do x squared and y have anything in common? No, they don't. What about x plus xy? Well, they have an x in common, and if we divide out x, we'd have 1 plus y left. But does that look anything like this one? Not really, right? Because we have that x squared. So we actually need to reorder this so that we can factor it out. So we're going to put the two x's together. So we have x squared plus x in one group. And then we're going to put the y's together. So we have xy plus y. This way it'll be easier to factor out our GCF. So if we're looking at x squared plus x, what do those have in common? Well, they both have an x, right? So if we divide by x, we're going to be left with x plus 1. And if we look at our second term, what do those have in common? They both have y. So if we pull y out, then we're going to be left with x plus 1. So now again, we have 2 terms. We have x times x plus 1 and y times x plus 1. So what do they have in common? X plus 1, right? They both have an x plus 1 term. So we're going to pull that out front. And if we pull out x plus 1, remember that means we're dividing. So what would be left? Well, our x plus 1's cancel. So we have an x. Again, x plus 1 cancels. So we're just left with y. So this one factored is going to be x plus 1 times x plus y. Okay, so I want you guys to try these monitoring progress questions, and then I will give you the answers at the beginning of the next video.